Fox Nation website, I hope these sites follow the IP addresses back to the Democrats, are blaming the Tea Parties. This article is up on prisonplanet.com right now. And I need listeners to go back to the audio files, the YouTubes, everywhere, because we can't do this, but millions of you can find it quickly. And email it to showtips@infowars.com, because you know I predict all this with total precision. I don't even know how I do it. We don't make a lot of predictions. I think I made like 5 the last year, and they basically all came true. I see their pre-programming. It's like asking somebody who can hit a baseball really good. How do you do it? Well, you just, or, you know, a little bit of training, research, but you've just got the right stuff. Or how does a high jumper do what they do? Or how does somebody paint a beautiful oil painting? How does some children are naturals at music, others aren't? I mean, I've got a lot of gifts. All of us have gifts. But the most important thing of thousands of pieces of info I collate to come up with my information, kind of when the data card pops out, is years of research on subjects, and then it finally all comes together. And then the data card kind of pops out, and that's the answer. And it looks easy, but it's not. But it's the gleam in their eye. You know, I taped this. I had 2 employees at the time. I would just, with VHS tape, you know, those TV sets that had the VHS player recorder on the bottom, I would just record Fox News, CNN, and I would run on the treadmill in 2001 almost every day at like 5 o'clock and flip around on the channels. And I would watch about an hour or 2 a day while I was doing research online and things of television on in the background. I got to where it was so painful to watch and made me so upset and so angry that I pretty much have quit watching television except for little boiled down YouTube clips. The listeners kind of collate that for everybody and activists out there. And I remember watching Hardball with Chris Matthews about 3 months before 9/11. And I already had a lot of other evidence they were going to attack the World Trade Center again and use bin Laden. But he had Gary Hart and Warren Rudman of the CFR Commission, kind of the twin of the PNAC people, Project for New American Century. And I had just read PNAC around that time, how they needed a new Pearl Harbor event and all this, and I'd seen Rand Corporation saying the same thing. And I saw them having an evil celebration together, Rudman, Hart, and Chris Matthews. And it was like 3 months before 9/11, so somebody go find those archives. And I'm sitting there on the treadmill running, and I've got headphones on to listen to it, plugged into the TV across the room. In the old days, it wasn't wireless. It was low-tech, you know, string across the room, wire. And people always ask how I know this stuff. This is just one little snapshot example when it really hit me. And they were saying life's about to change in America. And Chris Matthews was getting excited, saying, "I'm so honored. Thank you for revealing this." And they were all twittering around. Psychopaths like to do stuff in public in front of everyone. This is why Matthews hates my guts so much, because he knows I've reported this a lot. And they said, yeah, you're going to have big things. Troops are going to be on the streets in America. Things are going to change. You're going to see big things happen with tall buildings. And I knew the feds had bombed the World Trade Center the first time, cooked the bomb, trained the driver, provocateured it. And I knew they were already starting to hype bin Laden's going to get us in the media. And the Pentagon was saying, once we get attacked, life's going to change, we're going to take over. They were prepping the police and everybody for this. They meant to hit the Capitol with one of the other planes, the Pennsylvania plane, but it didn't, thank God, because the military didn't follow orders and did the right thing and shot the plane down. And it all just hit me. And I went on, and I thought about it a few weeks and went on air and said, you know, specifically World Trade Center, bin Laden, next 2 months. And it's the same thing, but a no-brainer with the flu. It's a no-brainer. We have emergency managers on in Indiana. We get Bureau of Prisons, California, New York, other reports. We get the actual secret documents. You know, don't distribute this to the public. The state of New York with Homeland Security wants you to get ready for hundreds of thousands dead per cemetery. You know, how many can you bury? They were telling the emergency manager the same thing: harden your police stations for martial law, get ready, the public's going to attack you, and it's going to be flu-based. It's going to be a flu pandemic that causes this. So I went on air and said, the feds are saying this is going to happen. We're not saying that, but they're going to try martial law through this. And then they tried the forced inoculation in New York, Massachusetts, and other states. That actually happened, remember? And it's the same thing. When we've got COINTELPRO like cockroaches in a cheap restaurant at 3 a.m. or a cheap motel running around, and they're trying to set us up on every front, and they're coming out of the woodwork, and they're trying to connect us somehow, and cops are around my office to the bombing at the firebombing at the Moloff attack. And then I learn a federal informant, the same one that set people up with Moloffs in Minnesota, and the same one connected to hanging out with a Palestinian that got murdered, is trying to get Brave New Books firebombed. And I realize Austin's the center of the resistance, and literal people have all moved here just to attack me. They come set up shop. We're patriots. Attack Jones. Ah! You know, I mean, it's just, whoa. You know, endless lies, endless fraud. And you can't, it's not, I guess you could sue COINTELPRO, because then that's what they want. It slows you down. It ties you in. But it's almost good they've been attacking me, because it let me know what was going on. And there was a lot of other data that came in. And so I've been telling you for the last 6 months, really, but intensely since December, they're going to stage a terror attack and blame it on patriots in Austin. 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 And I'm telling you, that's in their card. It looks like they've played it. Other terror attacks. God, I predicted it all. I predicted attacks on airplanes in December, like 2 weeks before, because it's all the prepping. And I'm predicting they're going to try to kill or stage an attack that won't be real. The president, Barack Hussein Obama, because that's how they get to play the part of victims. And I'm telling you, folks, because we're kicking their butt, they see us rising against them, everything they do is falling apart, they're going to pull the stops out. I'm telling you. There's a lot more goes into it, but that's basic. Scott in Arizona, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
You bet. I regretfully congratulate you on the accuracy of what's going on. I'm not surprised at all to see this. I think it's important that, despite having to deal with this and potentially get the word out that this looks like a staged occurrence, that focus remain on continuing to support Deborah Medina, getting the word out like you were talking about regarding Palin and Perry.
Oh, that's another thing. Now Perry, just like the hurricane got his approval rating up from 20 points. He was down at like 20. It got up to 40. Now it's back down to low 30s. He'll now get to grandstand, and he is grandstanding. And again, why would they stage something just for a governor? Because if he goes down, the states' rights movement gets a huge boost, which is the #1 threat to the New World Order.
Absolutely. And I think at this point, if nothing else, because of the points that you made regarding Palin.
I told you yesterday they were about to stage something and come after us in Austin.
Absolutely. And what needs to happen at this point, if nothing else, hey, Palin needs to be, Palin and Perry ought to be tied in somehow with this, and certainly put out there to say, hey, look, you know what, we do have Palin as a supporter, and if they're going to blame this whole thing on truthers or, intenters or what have you, we got Palin in support of a 9/11.
But see, Fox doesn't want to damage Beck, so that's why the last month he's been positioning himself going, we're the good Tea Party. We're not violent. But there are these birthers and truthers that want to bomb things and kill the president. I promise you they're about to attack. Now, I was already saying they were setting us up before, but now he's pre-positioning to go, we're the good Tea Party, we're the Republicans, but we've got a clean house. There's a fight happening for the soul of the Tea Party. I mean, it's totally clear it's staged. Mike, how can people not see this?
Yeah, that's why it needs to be continued, that we continue to share this with other people. We continue to go to these radio stations and say, hey, look how clear the path is, and lay it out for them. Spoon feed them the baby food